The other night I was shuffling over to Chuggin' Monkey on amateur night to play my new song, Austin Forever, Tech Bros Never, when this guy in a Patagonia fleece vest, Patagonia? Stumbles out of a bar and pukes all over my boots. And I just stared at him like, is this what this town has come to? This guy with the stink of microbrew and synergy all over him just defiling my town one barf at a time. Back in the day, you'd step out of a dive bar, and if someone threw up on you, it was 'cause they just eaten a tray of ghost pepper chili at 2 in the morning after rock climbing with their pet iguana. But that's Austin now. I walk down 6th Street, and instead of folks selling their own homemade jalapeno-infused soaps out of repurposed cigarette cartons, I'm weaving through tech dudes taking calls outside bars called things like Pixel and Pints and Synergy Social. And you know those bars aren't going to make it, right? 6 months, maybe. And then they've got these names that feel like they were tested by an algorithm for maximum, quote, networking potential, whatever that is. Meanwhile, I'm over here just trying to enjoy a Lone Star in peace. And the bats, you remember when folks would gather under the Congress Avenue Bridge with blankets, waiting for that wild swarm to take off? Now, the bats have to compete with these jokers who bought waterfront property, and God help them. Every time the bats come out, I can hear some dude yelling to his friend about it being so meta while he live streams it to his thousands of followers. I swear, the bats look confused. I saw one actually stop midair, look around like, is this even worth it anymore? The worst was when I was down at Zilker Park the other day, trying to enjoy a simple, peaceful stroll with my dog, Ladybird. And I see this guy, no joke, on a single-wheel electric skateboard, like a one-wheel, cruising right through a pile of wildflowers, just ripping through bluebonnets, like they're nothing. He's got this glazed-over look, AirPods in, talking about scaling. And I'm thinking, the only venture capital we used to care about around here was whether someone could venture up to the counter to buy the next round. And hey, remember the Broken Spoke? Okay. Now, there's a place that still gets it. But now, half the folks there are just clapping along on the sidelines, just observing the, quote, Texas vibe like they're at some exhibit. They've got no idea how to two-step. And they're standing around with their phones out like they're in some wild animal safari trying to catch a native Texan in its, quote, natural habitat. I even miss the university being an actual part of Austin, back when UT was just a bunch of us wandering around with cold Shiner box, complaining about the humidity. Now, it's all about some campus accelerator, and they've got a coffee shop where the baristas write your name in some god-awful disruption font. One time, I was there to grab a coffee, and the kid behind the counter looks up at me, points to my Willie Nelson shirt, and goes, "Is that vintage or just ironic?" I almost poured my cold brew over his man bun. And don't get me started on the hill country. Used to be you could take a day, drive out to Dripping Springs, grab a real greasy burger and drink by the river. Now you're lucky to get a mile out of town before you hit a billboard for some high-end yurt community or intention retreat eco cabins, and they're filled to the brim with folks who couldn't identify a mesquite tree if their self-care package depended on it. So here I am, just trying to shuffle around this new Austin, holding on to my jalapeno-infused soaps and praying that one of these Patagonia vests will just melt in the humidity one day. I figure maybe if they sweat enough, they'll realize they don't belong here. Then we can finally go back to the days when Weird didn't need Wi-Fi, venture capital, or some CEO's blessing.